Number 12 is in.
Welcome to Cover One, the NFL Draft Podcast. I am Russell Brown, and alongside me, my co-host, as always, Rhode Island's finest, the rugby champion, Brad Kelly. How we doing, Brad?
I'm well. I am not a rugby champ. Well, I am rugby champion in the past, but Russ says that because we had to postpone recording a little bit because I was at the gym training for a couple of rugby games I'll be playing in like a month or two. So if this comes out a little bit late on Wednesday night, that's on me.
It's all good, man. I get it. You're trying to be a reigning, defending, undisputed rugby champion. It's all good. I appreciate it because you are just living large over there, which we'll get into later with a Dak Prescott story, which I can't wait for. I can't wait for story time with Brad. Maybe we'll make that a weekly thing, story time with Brad. But we've got a full show today. We're going to talk a little bit about your draft guide. We do have some Patriots stuff. So, yes, this will turn into a Patriots podcast for a little bit. We've got draft options. We want to talk about the Patriots at 23 and 31. Not so much 31, but more so 23. And then the Titans at 25 and the Falcons at 26. But before we get into anything regarding the draft, I need to let you guys know you need to download the Cover One app from your app store, Google Play, whatever it is that you have. You need to stay up to date for all your draft and football content. It's simple. You search Cover One and you download it. You get the push notifications, and you've now got the Cover One app. I'm telling you guys, it's fantastic. You stay up to date with everything that Brad posts, everything that I post. The podcast is on there. It's all right there on your mobile device, iPad, whatever it is that you have. It is fantastic. So go to your app store, go to Google Play, whatever it is, Cover One. Search it, download it, love it. Cover One, the brand new app. Check it out today. So, Brad, we've got your draft guide. You've got a couple of pre-orders already, more than a couple. You've got quite a few. I want to talk about it because you put a link on or a picture on your Twitter regarding the kind of the format. And I got to say, man, solid freaking job. Like, I saw it beforehand. Not that specific one, but that was a solid freaking job, dude. Nice work. And
yeah, so I actually do have to give a little shout out to Deuce Wyndham for sending me a sample, and I basically played with it a little bit around on Google Sheets to make it kind of as clean as possible and like have my scale pretty much everything that I wanted to have in there. And the picture that I put out that's on Twitter, on my Twitter page, it's only a few tweets down if you go on the page, is actually a little bit less than what the final product is. That was kind of a sample, little rough draft. But it will be a little bit different. It will be a little bit more extensive, pretty much fill up an entire 8x10 page, or when it's sent in PDF, it'll be an entire page. So yeah, it's a nice little format that I had to play with it for a couple hours. It took a long time to really make everything fit and have it look clean, but it came out pretty well. So I'm pretty excited to pretty much just do data input for the next week and finish out all the scouting reports.
How many receivers will be in the draft guide?
It's looking as though 39 will have scouting reports. There will be another 10, just a little additional, another 10 players who maybe could be late round picks or priority free agents. And then it's looking like another 11. I will have another 11, a small synopsis about some small school guys. So it's going to be like 61 total players mentioned, 39 scout reports, and then the other ones are maybe like 60 total players mentioned, and then the other ones will have like a little bit about them. The small school guys are from like Division II, Division III, FCS schools, and probably just guys those are guys that you haven't heard of. But I think that we'll probably get invited to camp or put up good pro days at bigger schools that they were invited to participate at those pro days. So it's going to be like 60 total players, but there'll be I think 39 or 38 scout reports.
That's absolutely filthy. I mean, like most scouting guides out there, and this is no like knock on anybody, but this is like some scouting guides out there have, or draft guides, I mean, they have like 200 pages. You're going to bring 61 players, which I'm assuming each player is getting their own player or their own page. And then, you've got the whole breakdown of how you grade them. So, I mean, we're probably talking easily 75 pages, 60 to 75 pages of just great draft talk, football talk, wide receiver stuff, and knowledge that you have. Guys, how much are you on the pre-order, how much does it cost? And on the regular base pay?
It'll be $8 for pre-order. That's still available. If you look at my pinned tweet on my Twitter profile, the link is to buy it in the pre-order. And if you wait until it comes out, which it should be out within the next couple of weeks, I'm aiming for the 12th. We'll see if I can get there. That's 2 weeks before the draft. And if you wait until then, it'll be $10. So it's basically a race right now. If you want to go pre-order it and save $2 before I can finish it in the next 10 to like 12 days, then go do it right now. Pre-order the draft guide. Guys,
I'm telling you, you need to go to Brad's Twitter page at BradKelly17. You have to check out the example picture of some receivers that he put up on there for the draft guide. It's going to be phenomenal. You need to pre-order now, or you can just buy it at full price at $10 a pop. Guys, it's going to be out of this world. You're going to need it for the next, 3 days of the draft when we get there in 21 days. It's going to be phenomenal. But speaking of receivers, the Patriots, your squad, they traded one. They traded Brandin Cooks and a 4th-round pick of 2018 to the Los Angeles Rams for a first-round pick 23, and a 4th-rounder, or a 6th-rounder, excuse me. Or did I mess that up? Is it a 20?
Right. No, you had it right.
All right, and a 6th-rounder to the Pats. So the Pats get a 1st-rounder and a 6th-rounder. Brandin Cooks and a 4th-rounder go to the Rams. So now the Patriots have 4 picks in the top 64. Dude, what are your thoughts?
Well, when it comes to trading Brandin Cooks, I think that I didn't like seeing Cooks go, but I understand why it was, and I do really like the trade for the Patriots. So the Patriots acquired him for the 31st pick and a 3rd-rounder last season. And they paid him, his cap hit this past season was only $1.5 million. So it was actually, I think, the lowest of his 4-year deal, rookie contract. But this year it was a team option. So they picked up the team option, and they were in line to pay him $8.5 million, $8.4 million. And only have him for 1 year, and then he'd become an unrestricted free agent at the end of next season. So they go to talk to him about contract and trying to extend him. They realize that they're too far away, that they're never really going to be able to get him on a long-term deal, and they get the 23rd pick in value for trading him for basically what would have been 1 year of Brandin Cooks, because they didn't think that he would sign at the price that they were willing to give him. So I think that's a great trade to get the 23rd pick. They essentially got Brandin Cooks a free year. Brandin Cooks on a very, very cheap deal, $1.5 million. Only had to pay him $1.5 million. Got basically a free year out of him, and got the capital back that they gave away last season. So I think overall it was a great trade for them. It would have been nice had they won the Super Bowl and he was able to stay healthy in that game. That unfortunately did not happen. But I think overall that's a really good move for the Patriots. And I think that it's going to be they're going to be able to hit a need in the middle of the 1st round.
It's a little shocking that the Rams are going to give up a 1st-rounder to get Brandin Cooks, who, yes, is a very talented player. And meanwhile, you let Sammy Watkins walk at essentially the same price that you're going to pay Brandin Cooks for the year. I think it's a little shocking. But the Rams now, they don't have a 1st-round pick. And if I remember correctly, they don't have a 2nd-round pick. So
correct.
What in the world are they going to be doing with pick 87, 107, and 162? I could go down the list, but does it even matter? I mean, so much talent is on this team for the next year. It looks like they're going all in for a Super Bowl, right?
They're definitely going all in for a Super Bowl. Goff is under contract for 2 more years, and then the 3rd year team option is when he gets a pay bump. But I think the next 2 years is when they can really spend on other positions other than quarterback and really try to stack the roster for a Super Bowl run. And I like that. I think going and try to win a Super Bowl on your quarterback's rookie deal is a smart move. And then they're going to have to shed some players, down the line when they have to extend Jared Goff for a long-term contract. They'll probably end up giving him a ton of money. But in the next 2 years, when they can really stack the roster and use that extra money that they have to bring in guys like Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib and Sue and Brandin Cooks, go for it. Not necessarily your window is 2 years long, but I think that the peak of your window is going to be the next 2 years if you're the Los Angeles Rams. So I think that they don't have that many needs. I think they could still use some offensive linemen. But overall, there's a ton of talent on that roster, and they're going to be a Super Bowl contender in the preseason. They're going to be one of Vegas favorites, I'm sure, in the preseason, and a contender throughout the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you put it as far as like a 2-year window. I think that's like the maximum because, yeah, they brought in Ndamukong Suh. They've got Peters to leave, and, they've got to pay guys like Todd Gurley, and they've got to pay Jared Goff. And now, you have Brandin Cooks, who after this year, you're either going to have to pay or he's gone. So, like, the next year is very vital for them to go out and win as much as they can, and obviously bring home a championship, because after this year, you've got to pretty much put everything on the table to bring back Aaron Donald, who you don't want to lose. He's priority number one, regardless of who they have now, because you've got Cooks, like I said, Cooks, Peters, Talib, and pretty much after that, Sue's probably going to be gone, and then Cooks is probably going to be gone, because you're going to have to pay Goff and Gurley. But also, like, you're going to have to really pay attention to the next couple of drafts as far as left tackles go, because Andrew Whitworth is 36. So, I mean, you've got to get a left tackle in there too. And at 23, I thought they would have been maybe in position to get somebody like a Mike McGlinchey or a Connor Williams. I don't know if they would have been there, but they definitely could have moved down the board a little bit, and you could have put yourself in position to get one of those guys to groom under Whitworth, but that's not obviously going to be the part of the plan. Maybe they look at somebody at 87. Maybe Brian O'Neill is there. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't think this is so much a home run move for the Rams because of just giving up a first rounder for a player that, the Patriots didn't even give up a first rounder for. Or as far as draft position, as far as 23 to 32. But it's just, I don't know. I thought it was a shocking move. It's going to be interesting to see how Brandin Cooks does another year in another system. But, I mean, if anybody can get the best out of a receiver, I would think it would be Sean McVay with the way he runs an offense. So the Patriots at 23. Let's move into draft options. What do you think they do at 23? Is it moving up? Are they staying put?
Well, as far as them getting to that 23rd pick goes, I think some people assume that because they got the 23rd pick, they're trying to move up and continue to move up to take a top 10 player. But I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that they had a player in mind that they want to move up for. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think they had the contract negotiations with Cooks. I don't think it necessarily went sour. There's been no reports of that, but they realized, they're too far apart. They need to get rid of him, and they probably just sold him to the highest bidder, or like the deal that they got offered quickly and trade him for the 23rd pick. I don't necessarily think that they have someone in mind to move up for. With that said, I think the possibility of moving up is there. I think that the Patriots love Bradley Chubb. As far as his position goes in the draft, who knows how far he falls, but I think that they love Chubb because, first of all, there's been a propensity to take North Carolina State players in the draft for the Patriots. I think they've taken 2 of the last 3 years, and they need some pass rush help. And everyone saw the video of Belichick at NC State's pro day, and Bradley Chubb came up to him and was very happy to see him and thankful for him. Belichick was coaching him up at his pro day, and then he was like, "Yeah, we have the 31st pick. There's no way we're going to get to you." But I think that kind of says that, hey, we're really interested in you as a player if we could ever get you, but we don't still have the draft capital. But now they kind of have the capital to be able to move up if Bradley Chubb falls past pick 7, say he's there at pick 8 or something like that. So I think that if they're moving up, I don't think it's for a quarterback. I would hate if it is for a quarterback. I want to win a Super Bowl. I'm a Patriots fan. I want them to win the Super Bowl next year. Go get a player who's going to help you in year one, not a player who's going to ride the bench. Don't use all this draft capital on a player who's going to ride the bench. I'm not caring about life past Brady right now. I care about the window that you have with Tom Brady as your quarterback. Find a successor when that time comes. But in the next year or two, you want to win a Super Bowl and send Tom Brady off into the sunset with 6 rings. And they need a player who can help them in year 1, in year 2, in order to do that.
Haven't you won enough?
No.
I mean, come on. 5 freaking Super Bowls. I've got nothing over here. I got nothing. I got a couple of bottles I'm going to return after the show from drinking a couple of beers. That's it. That's all I got. You've got 5 rings over there because of Tom freaking Brady, and you want number 6? I want number 1, man. I want number 1.
Point is, if you're a contending team, there's no reason you should use multiple first-round picks to move up and take a quarterback who's not going to play for 2 years. If they're this close to a Super Bowl, and they are, they're a few points away. They're 1 defensive stop, 1 damn tackle by Johnson Batamosi away, or being prepared for the Philly special away from winning the Super Bowl. They're that close. Go get a player who can put you over the top. Don't get a player who's going to sit for 2 years and provide nothing for the team.
I mean, it makes sense. It totally makes sense because in 2 years, you don't even know if Belichick's going to be there. Brady and Belichick might walk out on the same day. You never really know. But, dude, there's no way Bradley Chubb falls beyond pick number 8. There's no way.
I think there's a way he falls to pick number 8.
No, dude. Like, think about this. Number 4. Okay, Cleveland's going to take either. We're assuming Sam Darnold, right? I know there's that chatter right now with Josh Allen kind of sparking up, but I'm going to assume it's still Sam Darnold. And then let's say at number 2, the New York Giants, they take Josh Rosen. Or what about they taking Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley? Dude, there's so many options for him. Like at number 4, Cleveland, Bradley Chubb, Saquon Barkley. I don't think they're going to take Quentin Nelson like you think. I know you're sitting there saying, well, I don't know. Dude, they're not taking Quentin Nelson. There's no way. There's no way the Browns are taking Quentin Nelson over Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley. I like Quentin Nelson a lot. Safest pick in the draft. But the Browns aren't doing it. They're going to go get a guy that's going to help with their defense or help with that offense as far as moving forward and putting up more than just, pancakes on the board or anything else. And Quentin Nelson's very good. I love him. But they're going to go and try to make a splash at 4. And it's
what
either
about
going to be
the chatter that they could take Denzel Ward at pick 4?
What's up with that? What is up with that? I don't get that. I've been hearing that. I've been reading that. I don't understand it. You're going to pass on Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley for Denzel Ward?
So
why?
Say 4 of the top 5 picks of the 4 quarterbacks are Darnold, Rosen, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield. That pick number 4 is Denzel Ward. The Colts sitting there at 6 with Saquon Barkley on the board, with Quentin Nelson on the board, Derwin James, Minka Fitzpatrick, whoever. The Bucs. So if Chubb falls past 6, the Bucs are there at pick 7. They've gotten enough pass rush in this offseason. They probably don't go pass rush. And then at pick 8, the Bears are there. They've always talked about moving down, and Chubb could be there for a team like the Patriots to move up and take him. Just
so you're
throwing it out there. He'll be available at pick number 8.
I don't think he will be. I mean, I don't know. I'm wrong a lot of the time, but I would be shocked if he's there. If the first 4 or 5 out of 4 out of the 5 picks are quarterbacks, there's no way. If the Browns take Denzel Ward at pick number 4, that is the most Cleveland Browns thing they could do. I mean, that's ridiculous. I have a hat on right now. I want to take my hat. I want to throw it. That's ridiculous. You're going to pass on Barkley, Chubb, and Nelson for freaking for Denzel Ward because of how he ran at the combine. Essentially, like the tape is good, but it's not.
The issue with you right now, Russ, is you're assuming the Browns are going to be smart.
Yes, and I'm in denial because I don't want the Patriots to get Bradley Chubb. I don't want that. I don't need that right now, okay? You guys have 5 rings. Take your 5 rings and retire off into the sunset. You don't need Bradley Chubb. You're not moving up and you're getting them. But if they stay put at 23, what are they doing?
I hope it's Isaiah Oliver. I've mentioned before, Isaiah Oliver is my cornerback one. I think he fits the Patriots system perfectly. He is who I wanted at pick 31 before they lost Nate Solder. So with that said, if they could get a tackle and a corner in those 2 picks in the first round, and then maybe a pass rusher at pick 43, like if, for example, if they could go Isaiah Oliver, Colton Miller, and then like Uchenna Nwosu at 43, or if they could go Mike McGlinchey at 23, Oliver at 31, or another corner at 31 like Carlton Davis, and then Nwosu or some other pass rusher at 43. That's my ideal scenario. As far as those 3 picks goes in the top 43, tackle, corner, pass rusher.
Here's what I've got, and this is I'm going to just book it right now on April 4th, 2018, and I don't care. You want to know why? It's my son's birthday today. I'm living large. I'm putting this one down. I'm locking it in. At pick 23, they're going to go Mike McGlinchey. At pick 31, they're going to go Isaiah Oliver, and at pick 43, they are going to go with Malik Jefferson out of Texas. All right? We're booking it in. It's locked and loaded. This is Cover 1, the NFL Draft Podcast. You know what I mean? So moving forward to Tennessee at 25, because we're going a little bit out of order because last show we did the Rams at 23 and the Panthers at 24, and we don't need to get into the Panthers anymore, but we do need to talk about the Titans at 25. They're so interesting because they signed Malcolm Butler, they re-signed Josh Klein, they've got 2 really good offensive tackles, they've got Derrick Henry as their starting running back, and they signed Deion Lewis too. So and Corey Davis last year, I'm trying to think of everything on the fly here because I just don't know what they're going to do. There's such a mystery to me, but I would think like an edge rusher or a linebacker. I think Leighton Vander Esch would be a good fit for them. Lorenzo Carter would be a really good fit for them. So am I wrong for thinking defense here?
I think that one of the reasons that you can't really think of needs is because they have a pretty good roster. They were a playoff team last year. I think they were very deserving of a playoff team. They're a playoff team with Mariota not playing his best. And part of that was his receiving core was banged up and a little underwhelming, with Corey Davis kind of going through pains and being injured for part of the season. But I think overall their roster is pretty good. They, like you said, they re-signed Josh Klein. I think they re-signed Quentin Spain too. And then they even have Suafilo as a backup. So I think their line is kind of set. They could look at an interior offensive lineman
later in the draft.
Right, later in the draft. They could look at a tight end with Delaney Walker getting older, but they drafted Jonnu Smith last year as well. He's kind of like a Delaney Walker clone.
I think he's really solid too.
If they want like a Gesicki or Andrews who was a little bit different than what Jonnu Smith is, then that could kind of be an option. Kind of have like the two tight end looks and have them be like different type of players. But I think on defense, I think you're right. I think they will go defense. Their corners are set. With Logan Ryan, Adoree Jackson, Malcolm Butler, Kevin Byard, and Cyprian are their safeties. So they're set in the secondary, in my opinion. But Brian Arakpo, I think he's only signed for one more year, and he's getting older as well. So I think if they're with that 25th pick, they're going to go with a front 7 player.
Yeah, I think that's just the way to go. I mean, you need to get some pass rush in there. And if I'm not mistaken, they were near the bottom. I believe they were one of the 3 or 4th worst pass rushing teams in the NFL last year. So I think going out and getting an edge rusher, whoever that may be, whatever on the board, getting a player like that is pretty important, or getting just a linebacker that's going to help. I mean, they lost Avery Williamson. So getting a middle linebacker would be a smart move. I think, again, Leighton Vander Esch would be ideal there. Maybe Rashaan Evans. What about this, though? I mean, I know they signed Malcolm Butler and everything, and the cornerback situation for them is pretty solid. But what about Jaire Alexander or Joshua Jackson? Obviously, one of them have to be there if they're available. They could both be gone already. Or what about Isaiah Oliver? I mean, typically speaking, cornerbacks take about a year or 2 to develop at the next level before you really see no matter where you're taking them, unless you're getting a Patrick Peterson or something, and that's rare. And I don't think there's a Patrick Peterson in this class. So with that, you get, let's say, Jaire Alexander or Joshua Jackson at pick 25 in another year or 2, maybe Malcolm Butler doesn't pan out and you're trading them or you're cutting them, then you have kind of a backup plan, and Alexander could be very, very good at the next level. I'd kind of like that too, as far as you don't really have a need and you could go value at 25.
I just don't think that they would spend more on a corner. They signed Logan Ryan in the last offseason for $30 million, and then they signed Malcolm Butler this year for $61 million over 5 years, and they used a first-round pick last year on Adoree Jackson. So if they're going to use another first-round pick on a cornerback, I think that's kind of excessive. I understand their secondary wasn't very good 2 years ago, but I think overall they've spent so much on corner play and over the last year, 2 off seasons, that I don't think they could continue to use capital on a corner. I think they'd be better off going with the front 7 player. You mentioned Lorenzo Carter. That's one of my favorite team fits for a player, because Mike Vrabel has said that he wants to be multiple. He wants to show a million different fronts, and in order to do that, you have to be versatile. Your players have to be versatile, and Carter is one of the most versatile front 7 players in the class. And with his athleticism, he can be used in a variety of ways. And I think Mike Vrabel could do a good job of getting the most out of him. So I think that Carter at pick 25, I would probably take him over Vander Esch as far as in the team fit. I think Vander Esch would be a better player, might be a better player at the next level. But as far as team fit goes, Carter probably fits what the Titans are trying to do a little bit better than where Vander Esch does.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, the only reason why I think a linebacker is simply because of the whole Mike Vrabel being a former linebacker thing. So I think getting a guy that you can groom, that you can coach, would be phenomenal for them. So, I mean, that's really the only reason. So, I don't know. Moving forward, though, Falcons, last team we're going to cover, pick number 26. This team, dude, like, I'm looking at it, and it's like, what obviously losing Kyle Shanahan hurt this team last year because that offense was totally different. Where do they go, though? Like, they got Takk McKinley. They've got Vic Beasley. They've got, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, a great backfield with Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman. Like, what else do you need,
Yeah, so they're another team that I think has a really good roster. Obviously, they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Probably should have won it, but the GOAT made that awesome comeback. And then this past season, they're a playoff team as well. So I think overall, their roster is good. They have, I think Dan Quinn's an excellent NFL coach, and he has drafted well since he got there. So I think that as far as their roster goes, another team who doesn't necessarily have a screaming need. I think that they could go with the offensive lineman. But otherwise, on offense, I think they're pretty set. They did lose Taylor Gabriel, but 2 years ago they drafted Justin Hardy. I don't know if they think that he's going to be kind of like the next man up, but they took Austin Hooper 2 years ago. So they have enough weapons on offense. They could be looking at a receiver maybe later on in the draft. But I think they have a great roster. They're one of I would probably pick them for like the 5 best rosters. So as far as their draft goes, it's kind of hard to tell, and kind of hard to tell what positions of need they have. But I think that if they can go, maybe a linebacker or outside linebacker or their offensive lineman, probably their first 2 picks.
Yeah, I mean, the most common thing for them, the most common theme as far as like the consensus mock drafts is defensive tackles, whether it be, really would take your pick, whichever one falls to them, whether it, Mo Hurst, who I think that's ridiculous. He should be a top 10 pick. Vita Vea should be a top 15, top 20 pick. Maybe Taven Bryan's there for them at 26, maybe Deron Payne, or maybe they wait till pick 58 and they take my boy Justin Jones. That's going to be a little high and a little rich for you, but I don't care. And but maybe they take Billy Price at 26 or James Daniels. Like, Billy Price is a great football player. He's going to be one of my top 10 highest graded players when this whole thing is over. But you get a guy that, you don't need a player that's going to play right away. And you have Alex Mack too, but you need to think about the future. And Alex Mack has played for a while. It's not like he's going to play phenomenal forever. And Price has the experience to play as all over in the interior. So I would not be surprised if they did go offense as far as, and like you said, interior offensive line, James Daniels, Billy Price. I would think those would be the top 2 guys. Maybe Will Hernandez. I don't think Isaiah Wynn will be there.
I agree. I don't think he'll be there either.
That would be nuts. If he was there at 26, that'd be insane.
They would probably sprint to the podium if Isaiah Wynn's there at 26.
Oh, yeah, especially because he's a Georgia player. That'd be ridiculous. Yeah. But they're actually an interesting team because they've got pick 256, which is mystery relevant.
Ooh. Mr. Irrelevant predictions.
We kind of want to make a prediction here on who they could be taking. I mean, maybe they don't even have the pick when it's all said and done, but at pick 256 here on April 4th of 2018, who are they taking? Who's mystery relevant?
I'm going to go with...
This is tough, dude. There's so many freaking players.
It is tough. I'm going to go with Richie James, the receiver
oh, my God.
offensive weapon from Middle Tennessee State.
He's off the board already.
That's what everyone on Draft Twitter thinks, but I think the NFL is going to value him a lot less because he only weighs 183 pounds and got hurt this past season. I love Richie James. I would take him, in the 4th or the 5th, probably the 5th round. Or maybe a late 4th if I have a glaring need. But doesn't he kind of remind you of Taylor Gabriel?
Yeah.
I think that I love watching him play because he lines up all over the place. There was a game 2 years ago where he was 5 for 6 passing. He had like 200 rushing yards and 100 receiving yards or something crazy like that. And he's fun to watch because he lined up at Wildcat quarterback. He lined up at running back and averaged 9 yards a carry. And then he's also a slot receiver. He's a kicker and punt returner. Mostly punt return. He only had a few kick returns in his career, but he's a guy that's just going to move all around, kind of what Percy Harvin was or DeAnthony Thomas is currently, a little bit like Tavon Austin as well. And I think that he could kind of be that Taylor Gabriel piece. And and be a right away starter. I think the NFL values him less than the common draft analyst does, and he'll be might be available in the 7th round.
He could be. I would be shocked if he was available that late in the draft. I'll be honest. At 256, I mean, man, that's a long way down. But I'm going to go with my guy. It's funny you brought up a receiver. I'm going to go with my guy, and that's Steve Ishmael out of Syracuse, wide receiver. I'm on the hive. I'm the leader of the wagon. I'm probably the only person on the wagon outside of maybe Steve Ishmael. But at 6'2", 209, yeah, he doesn't fit the Taylor Gabriel mold. But this was a receiver last year that had 105 receptions. I'm the only person that's talked about maybe 5 of those receptions, okay? So, 1,300 yards last year, 7 touchdowns. I thought he was a very productive player on a very, very bad Syracuse team. It's not like he has consistently had, 50 or 100 receptions, 80 receptions every year. Last year, he had 48 receptions. The year before, he had 39 receptions. So he's progressively gotten better and become a focal point on that offense. And in the 7th round, if he's there, if you're looking for wide receiver depth, I think he's a pretty realistic option. No offense, Brad, I don't think Richie James is a realistic option. I know Draft Twitter loves him, but dude, there's no way. There's no way he's going at 256. There's just no way.
Just throwing it out there, his NFL.com profile says 7th round pick.
Well, just to throw it out there, Steve Ishmael doesn't even have an NFLDraft.com profile. So how about that? Just throwing it out there.
I don't mind Ishmael. I watched him on your request. Don't have a grade on him yet, but he will be one of the guys you get to scout and report in the draft guide. So
I'm looking forward. Yeah. Awesome. Well, what are some things you're working on? I mean, that's all we got as far as draft options. We're going to pick it up on Sunday and see where we get to with the draft options. Pretty much 2 more shows and we'll be done with it. But what are you working on for us over at cover1.net?
I'm thinking of putting out a Byron Pringle scouting report. Pringle is my boy. I fell in love with his game in Mobile. He showed up. I had no idea who he was, I'm not going to lie. And then he tore it up the first practice of the first day, and I was like, this is my guy going forward. He's a little bit older. He got into some trouble when he was a young man, but I think overall I broke it down and I looked at him and Calvin Ridley, and I asked the question, what's the difference between Byron Pringle and Calvin Ridley? And no one could really give me a good answer. I think that he is kind of like Calvin Ridley light, but he's like a little bit bigger and stronger than Ridley, and in turn actually might end up being a little bit better of a prospect. If he was 22 years old and if he had never gotten in trouble, with some arrests when he was in high school and never had to go the JUCO route, I think he'd be a 1st or 2nd round pick. I really do. He's a good athlete. He's above average size. He runs phenomenal routes. So I think that the next thing you'll see from me is a Byron Pringle scouting report.
I look forward to it. I definitely look forward to it. I'm going to ask you, what team do you think he's going to go? I'm going to let you think about it. I'm going to say some of the stuff that I'm going to be working on so you have time to think about it. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Patriots.
Come on. No, Deshaun Hamilton is going there. Come on. That's going to happen.
He's going to the Cowboys to pick 50.
No, he's not. No, you can't have everything, Brad, okay? Well, as for me, I've got a Justin Jones scouting report that's going to hopefully drop in the morning sometime. Just check it out over at cover1.net. Then I'm going to be putting together some mock drafts regarding the Buffalo Bills opponents. So we are pretty much, a lot of our subscribers are Buffalo Bills fans, diehard. So I'm going to go ahead and look at their opponents for the next season. And I'm going to do full team mock drafts for each one of those teams. And I'm going to give them kind of an opinion of where that team could be headed with some of the rookies that they have. So going to be good. Check it out. I'm going to try and do 2 a day between now and the draft. Also, my top 1, I'm aiming for 125. I don't know if I can get 25 more players done in 21 days. We're going to try our best, though. Other than that, that's all the time we've got for you here on Cover.
Nope.
What do you mean, nope?
We got a little story. We got story time.
Oh, yeah. Story. Good call, Brad. Story time with Brad Kelly. So enlighten us about this Dak Prescott thing.
So I'll give the spark notes of the whole trip. But basically, there was the Thursday night before spring break. I was hanging out with my friends. You can imagine what we were doing as seniors in college. So this is going back to March of 2015. So we're getting ready to go out, and we're kind of just throwing out ideas about spring break. We had nothing planned. We had never been on a spring break trip, like a legit spring break. So basically, I finally was just like, all right, Jack, it was my roommate, like, give me your phone. And I ordered a hotel, gave him his phone back, said, we got to go. We ordered the hotel. Using his credit card information. So basically we sober up, we hop in my truck, which was a Chevy S10. We drove down right away. We left at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., something like that. So anyway, we get down there. We don't really know what we're doing. We were kind of like a little bit off the beaten path. We're in Panama City Beach, Florida is where we booked the hotel. So we look online, we find like concerts that are going on, we buy tickets. The trip was unbelievable. 75 and sunny the whole week. We're there for 6 days, 5 nights. We saw Diplo perform. We unknowingly bought VIP tickets to Diplo. We had no idea that we did. We just ordered them online, ended up being VIP. We saw like Luke Bryan, and then we saw Waka Flocka. So this is like this is the second day that we're there. It's the first full day that we're there. First day that we're there, I'm walking along the water, and this kid, I like bump into this kid because I wasn't looking up, and I dropped my phone in the ocean. So, and right in the Gulf of Mexico. So I don't have my phone the whole week. It like broke right away, obviously. And I was like, it was my fault. So I didn't really like say anything to the guy. I was like, whatever, it's not a big deal. So I don't have a phone the whole week. My roommate has his phone, but that's it. So I'm at this Waka Flocka concert. And there's like, there's cops and everything outside in the parking lot. I didn't really think too much of it. Guys, I got into a fight. Come to find out, like a week later when I got home and like looked online and looked up the trip and like see what really happened, Dak Prescott got jumped by like a group of him and one of his teammates from Mississippi State. This is when he was coming off his junior year when he was a Heisman candidate for the first 8 or 9 weeks of the season. And gotten jumped two guys got jumped by like 6 dudes, and he was all bloody in the parking lot, and like he was getting tended to by like EMTs and stuff. I had no idea it was him. I didn't really even look over to it. I didn't think anything of it. But looking back, it was Dak Prescott. So anyway, to the other day, yesterday on Twitter or 2 days ago, there's a video of Dak getting on a boat, with some scantily clad women. But there was no video of him actually on the boat. There was videos of him signing the jersey for the guy who was hosting the party. But I thought that was kind of funny because it looked a lot like the spring break that I was on. And it was kind of like flashed me back to the fact that Dak Prescott got jumped at a Waka Flocka concert that I was at when I was a senior in college. Also on that trip, the first night that we were there, Terrence Williams from the Cowboys was in VIP. We were at the largest nightclub in North America, and I look up and I was like, I know that guy. And I walked over to the bouncer and I was like, who's that? He said, it's Terrence Williams from the Cowboys. And I was like, that is Terrence Williams. And he was pointing to girls in the crowd, and the bouncers were walking over to the girls saying, this guy plays in the NFL. He wants you to come up to VIP. And it was $1,000 per head and bottle service. And he was just pointing and saying, like, come up to VIP, come to VIP. And like, they were all going up there. It was one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then the next day, Dak Prescott got jumped, and then it's funny that they actually ended up as teammates.
I was going to say that's funny how that panned out.
Yeah, but that's the short version of that trip. There's a lot more to it, but stuff that probably shouldn't be said on the podcast. So
I love it. We'll try and do story time more with Brad on other episodes, but be sure to follow Brad on Twitter at BradKelly17. He'll go probably a little bit more into detail with the whole Dak Prescott thing on his spring break. You can also follow me at Russ NFL Draft. Be sure to download the Cover One app. And this is episode 55 of Cover One, the NFL Draft podcast. Until next week, we'll talk to you guys then.